Tonight, President Zelensky is out with a new video statement telling all Ukrainians who stayed behind to fight, we're not scared because you're not scared. Ian Pannell leads us off once again tonight from Kyiv, and a warning that some viewers may find the images you're about to see in Ian's piece disturbing.
Tonight, across Ukraine, civilians are being driven from their homes by the tens of thousands. After efforts to establish temporary ceasefires were repeatedly broken by Russia, the Kremlin now claiming another one will come into force tomorrow in a number of cities. A previous corridor offered by Russia only allowing safe passage onto its own territory and that of its ally Belarus, which Ukraine calls unacceptable. So far, Russia's ceasefires set up for people to leave have been nothing of the sort. In Irpin, about 16 miles northwest of Kyiv, terrifying video shows civilians trying to escape when a mortar shell explodes. Soldiers bravely risking their own lives to give first aid. It was too late. At least 8 people were killed, including at least 3 members of the same family. At least 5,000 people have fled, many of them under fire, having to run for their lives with what little they can carry after almost a week of intense fighting in the city. As the shells landed, trying to take cover, then having to navigate a blown-up bridge to run to safer ground. We're hearing the sound of fairly regular bombardment. We're close to the front lines. It's just down that road. The town of Irpin is being brutally shelled by Russian forces. Hundreds, thousands of civilians are desperately trying to get out of the town, but they've also come under fire. Some of them have been killed today just trying to get out and get safe. Tatiana Bogatova is a pediatrician from the town. She had to run for miles through the night to escape with 18-month-old Varvara. The Russians were there in their tanks, she says. They fired mortar shells into people's yards. I couldn't stay there with a child. Across the country, Russia's stepping up its attacks, laying siege to some cities that are now cut off without power or heating. Ukraine's armed forces sharing a video of what they say is a downed Russian jet crashing. Meanwhile, a third round of ceasefire talks was held in Belarus today. Ukraine says small positive movements were made in trying to establish these humanitarian corridors. The Kremlin claims that it could stop the attacks at any moment, but only if Ukraine promises to never join NATO, to recognise Crimea as Russian, and accept the independence of Russian-controlled parts of eastern Ukraine. All have been non-starters for Ukraine. President Biden talked with European leaders today who vowed to continue raising the costs on Russia amid discussions about possibly cutting off all Russian oil and gas imports. Also, the Pentagon revealing today it ordered an additional 500 US troops to deploy to Europe over the weekend.
We're joined now by Ian Pannell in Kyiv. And Ian, I imagine there has been no indication you've seen that the temporary ceasefire Russia claims will begin tomorrow will be any different than failed attempts in the past few days?
No, I think we're right to be sceptical, and that's certainly the view from the ground. I mean, don't forget that there was, again, one of these temporary ceasefires, one of these supposed humanitarian corridors established in Mariupol over the weekend. Almost immediately, the ceasefire was breached by Russian forces and civilians came under attack. And here's the other problem with the corridors that are now being proposed by Russia. They say there's going to be ceasefires on Tuesday morning here, is that they're saying that the passage, the safe passage, it doesn't lead into Ukraine to the west. It doesn't lead towards Poland and Europe. It leads directly either into Russia or into Belarus, which of course is Russia's ally. So just imagine you're leaving your home because you've been under bombardment, you're running for your lives, and the Russians are expecting people to run into their arms. I mean, apart from the cynicism of that, the Ukrainian government saying that that is clearly unacceptable.
And Ian, you also had the chance to visit Irpin this weekend, one of those towns close to Kyiv that has just been devastated. What struck you the most about what you saw there?
You know what really shocked me the most is the last time I saw people look like that, look that scared, look that bedraggled, people who'd gone to extraordinary lengths to just escape for their lives was in Mosul, in Iraq. when the battle was on to try and take the city from ISIS. And it was the same look in people's eyes, that sheer terror that they've literally been to hell and back. And even when they get out, they don't know where is safe. They don't know where they're going to go. Yeah, there was one young mum, which is featured in our report. She's a paediatrician in this town. She has this 18-month-old toddler. And for anyone out there with kids, you know how difficult it is just to keep toddlers minded and safe inside your own home. She had to run through the night with a group of people, passing a toddler from person to person through the night just to reach the edge of Irpin. And that's what so many people are going through right now. And for every person who gets out, there are many more who are left behind, unable to get out now because they're surrounded by the fighting. And of course, they get caught in the crossfire. It's what we see repeatedly in conflicts. Civilians always paying the greatest price for something they didn't start and they can't control and often can't escape from.
Right.
Lindsay?
Ian Pannell reporting in from Kyiv for us once again. Thanks so much, Ian.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.